I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
His father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the 30-30. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey. I'm your host, Wayne, joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the lovely and talented Miss Tiffany. What's up, ma'am?
Hello. I am so glad to see our chat full. It has been hopping. I'm glad to be here, as always, with everybody. This is one of my favorite days of the week, along with Tuesdays. And all the other ish we do.
Our peeps always show up and show out.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right. Everything going all right out in Virginia?
Yeah. Just been busy. It's house cleaning day. Getting everything. I was working / house cleaning / hauling heavy stuff up and down the stairs. And
I take it Mr. Zach was at work, Mr. T?
Yes. He's at work. He works 6 days of 7, so I get him for the evening. Yeah, I get him for the evenings when he's on his other rotation, and then when he's on the opposite side, he does his 24. So, I mean, it evens out. It sucks all the same, but
yeah. All right, yeah. As you said, we got a very full chat. Looks like. Say hello to a few people. Squatch and Holler, that's Roger. What's up, buddy? Wyatt, Estes, hello. Bristol, we love you. Troy, what's happening, brother? Daniel Hamilton is backstage. He don't count. This
that was
Chris Playlock. And there looks like there's a few more. Whiskey with Cryptids. Yeah, Michael. Dude, I'm glad to see you on here. We haven't talked in a while, and I got an email from Michael. Michael just went through a pretty serious medical condition. Yes. I don't know if he's telling people about it, but he posted on Facebook, so I guess it's okay. But yeah, he just had triple bypass.
Yeah, and you know what? He's still faithful. He is one of the faithful peeps that we have. He was in here last show. He was in here show before that.
He was one of our first ever members to sign up, and he's still a member. So, yeah, Michael's a good dude. Glad to see him on here, and I hope you're doing better, buddy. Goonie Goo Goo, thank you, sir, for the super sticker.
Yeah.
All right. I'd say we got an awesome guest backstage. He is making his second appearance. The first time he was on, I was not a part of that show. I was in the Smoky Mountains with the fam. But yeah, been talking to him for about 15 minutes before the show, and surprised we hadn't met before then. We know a lot of the same people, the fellow podcaster, and just a cool dude. So we're going to get him out here in just a minute. But before we do, we got some bills to pay.
Yep, let's do it.
Guys, if you are new to the show tonight, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Do us a solid before you leave. Hit that subscribe button. Tell your mom and them to do the same thing and help us grow the show.
And also tell your mom and them that if they want to be on with me and Wayne, they can reach out to both of us, Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com or me, Tiffany at paranormalworldproductions.com. And we have one show to fill before we start booking into April. So the time is always right. Just reach out to us.
Paranormalworldproductions.com is our website. You can head over there and check out all of the other shows under the studio's umbrella. This one, Sasquatch Odyssey, That Bigfoot Podcast, True Crime Odyssey. It's all kinds of cool stuff. Head over there, pick you up some merch, sign up for the Bigfoot newsletter, all of that cool stuff. Again, that is paranormalworldproductions.com.
And if you have any questions for our guest, as always, please put them in all capital letters. I highlight them during the show. We do a rapid fire Q&A at the end of the show, and y'all were like killer with the questions the last time we had Daniel on. So just put them in all capital letters.
Manimalresearch.org is the name of the organization that I founded back in 2019. I'm very, very excited to say we have a group outing coming up next weekend. That's why we don't have a show next Saturday. You're not doing one by yourself, are you?
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, so that's why there will not be a show next Saturday, because we will be in the woods. Several of the people in the chat tonight will be with us. Mr. Goonie Goo Goo, Chris Blaylock, Troy. If I'm missing anyone else, I'm sorry. But yeah, there's going to be a bunch of us hanging out in the woods at the LBL, the Land Between the Lakes. Going to be an awesome time. If you would like to be involved in stuff like that, contact us. Go to manimalresearch.org. Also, if you are having anything on your property that you would like someone to come and check out, we would love to be the ones that you trust to do that. So you can do all of that at manimalresearch.org. You can also pick you up some merch. So please head over there and check that out.
And as always, our membership to our channel, Paranormal Odyssey, always open. It's $1.99. You get so many different perks. We say it every week. All of the perks are listed on our YouTube channel itself. However, we go above and beyond that because we love our members. They're our family and they deserve it. So at only $1.99, you can't beat everything that you get. You get the members only lives, the members only discords, notifications first of who's coming on, the option of asking questions early, just the whole gamut of things for just $1.99. You can't beat it.
Alex says it's the best damn $1.99 ever spent.
Hell yeah, it is.
I agree with him.
It's
I mean, look at that
$1.99.
giant dog sitting next to him. If he lies, that dog will eat his face.
That's right.
I love that dog.
I know, I do too. I love that picture because his dog's head is so much larger than his. In comparison, it's like a tennis ball to like a basketball.
Yeah. Alex is a very, very cool guy. He has sent me so much stuff that he's made. He's a cop in DC, so his job is very stressful, but he's also a very talented woodworker.
Absolutely.
He sent me all kinds of cool stuff, and we appreciate you, buddy. All right, lastly, before we get to Daniel that is waiting patiently backstage, if you guys will notice at the bottom, the clicker there, we have our Cash App and our Venmo open. I mean, tell you the truth, it's always open. Anytime you want to send us money, please do so. But the reason we do that is you guys have always been awesome about the super stickers and all that stuff. The only problem has been the fees that go along with that and the fact that you have to wait a month and all of that good stuff. So we just thrown it out there. If you guys are more comfortable if you guys would help us out that way, we would appreciate it. If you're more comfortable doing the super stickers, we will not argue with that either way. Just giving it to you guys as another option. And you guys seem to be enjoying it, and we certainly appreciate it.
100-fold. We appreciate it.
Yes, we do. All right. All of that up out the way. Tiffany, remind everybody about our guest, Daniel.
We had him on a month ago today, February the 8th. Today is March the 8th. We had him on. You guys know him. He is the host of the Cryptid podcast. He is the co-host of Mysteries Unknown with Josh. And if you haven't seen the first episode, what's wrong with you? You need to go back and watch that. It's a good episode. We talked about his Bigfoot experience when he was young, his paranormal experience when he was in the military, but he's got so much more. So we had to bring him on for a part 2.
Absolutely. And as I said earlier, guys, it's just talking to him for the few minutes that I got to before we came on. He's a cool dude, and I'm excited about hearing what he has to share. Before we get him out, though, real quickly, thank you, Chris, for the $30 that you just sent us. That is very cool of you. All right. If you're ready, ma'am, let's get Daniel out.
Yeah, let's get him.
Yeah. I double clicked you. Daniel, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, guys? How do I sound? Sound okay?
Yeah, you sound good, look good.
Oh, well, thanks. Like my wife thinks I look good too, but I don't know.
Wayne made both of us go away.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell.
Oh, hey, front and center. What's up, guys?
There you go.
So you said I should go back and check out that first episode?
Yeah, if you don't remember, we're in trouble.
Oh, okay.
I do remember.
No, y'all, I've been so busy. I've done 7 interviews this week. Next week I've got, I don't know how many I got. I think I got 5 or 6 next week. Plus I have 2 shows I'm going to be on. So yeah. And then the week of the heck, I don't know, from the 21st until like the 30th, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be up in Michigan visiting my son and my granddaughter and his fiance. So I'm trying to get everything banked. So when I'm gone, I won't be doing anything, but I'll still have releases because I release Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and then I'll probably do a Saturday release, member only. So, but I only have 2 members so far.
You got to start somewhere.
You do, man. You start with number 1 and you grow from there. So
that's right.
I tell you what, Daniel, how we got so many so quickly, and this, you might want to consider this. We did a giveaway.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that.
The first 50 people that signed up, we put your name in a hat and we gave you some stuff. And it took a minute. It probably took a few months, but we crept up there.
Yeah, I think with my podcast, the Cryptid podcast, I'm sitting at just under 1,600 subs. And it's surreal to me in a way because I started the channel in October of last year. I posted my first video in like early November, and then it just went
So
crazy.
you started in October of 24?
Yeah.
And you're up to 16?
1,600,
It's only been like 6 months, dude.
Well, I didn't post anything until like November. So like early November is when I posted my first one. So,
man, it took me a year to get monetized to hit that 1,000.
I had my watched hours before I had my subscribers, and then I got monetized January. So,
see, that's what's up.
I'm making tens of dollars, people.
Tens of dollars.
I keep telling my wife, my wife is one of those people that's like, you're just a big BSer. You're full of boulder dash, and I'm like, well, and today I just told her, I said, honey, look, I'm almost at 1,600 subs. And she's like, what? I go, yeah, I'm almost at 1,600 subs. I said, can you believe that? She's like, to be honest with you, I didn't think you were going to do anything with this, let alone make money. And, the money is a good thing on it, you know. It's but me, I used to be a firearms instructor, and I just got burned out on that. I wasn't doing that for the money, which the money could have been really, really good. But I love talking to people. I love, you know, listening to them and you know, just it's like a new book that I see with every single person that I just can't wait to read, you know. And I stopped, you know, I retired from doing firearm instructing, and then I wanted to do this, and if it wasn't for Josh telling me I needed to do it, and a couple other people kind of pushing me in this direction, I wouldn't have done it. To be honest with you, I mean, I had fun. I have so much fun doing the lives with Josh. That's something I look forward to every Thursday, 8:30 Central Standard Time on Mysteries Unknown. You know, you know, I like doing it, and you know, I've been truly blessed of meeting the people that I've met. Tiffany, you know, hats off to you. You hold a special place in my heart, and the reason that is because you introduced me to Mr. Highcheck. Mr. Highcheck and I became fast friends, and you know, it's opened up a whole new world to me of this. And you know, I knew about Mr. Wayne here, you know, from his that Bigfoot podcast, you know, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't really get intimidated that easy, but you kind of intimidated me a little bit, and that's why I didn't really reach out to Brian to say, hey, man, if you guys are looking for a guest or whatever for your podcast, you know, you're a big old burly man. I'm probably older than you are, but you know, you know,
How old are you, Daniel?
I just turned 53.
Yeah, you got me by a little.
Yeah, but let me tell you, this man.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Tiffany, and I'll let you finish in a minute. But I mean, that shocks me that you're intimidated. Please don't feel that way at all. We would love to have you, but go ahead, Tiffany.
He has the Fountain of Youth in Minnesota. I'm just convinced of it.
Yeah, that's not a 53-year-old man sitting right there.
It's not. It's not.
You know, it's funny because when I was on Josh's show one time, I was talking about one of my Sasquatch encounters, and there was someone in the chat that was just like animate about there's no way that guy's too young. He doesn't know anything, blah, 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 this. And I'm like, bro, I've got 3 grandchildren. I got 3 kids. Yeah, I've got a 28-year-old. I've got a 23-year-old. I got a 22-year-old. My grandsons are 8 and 2, and my granddaughter's 1. You know, and they're like, man, there's no way your dad was in Vietnam. I'm like, yeah, my dad was in Vietnam, you know. You know, I'm a Gulf War veteran, you know, Gulf War era veteran. So our military service, our services, our men and women who served over there in the sandbox, man, they did a brilliant job of finishing what some jerk started, you know, and so it was over and done before I even got out of tech school. So, but yeah, it was a good time.
Yes, because we drank from the water fountain in the 80s.
Yeah, it's called the hose.
Yes, we weren't allowed to go back in to get water. We had a water hose.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I'm 53 and I've got grandkids, you know, think about this. Your mom and dad are like, you're not coming back in if you're thirsty. You drink out. What was mom and dad doing in there when we were told we couldn't come back in?
I don't want to think about it.
Gross.
There weren't many channels back then, y'all. So the TV wasn't doing a whole lot to keep them occupied.
They must have been wrestling.
That wrestling. That's right.
That's right. Oh, all right. Well, Daniel, we're here to talk about some creepy stuff. Tiffany probably knows best, fresh from y'all's previous conversation, where you had left off. But buddy, just jump in wherever you want and freak our guests out or our listeners out.
Well, I mean, probably one of the creepiest things that I encountered was when I was the summer before my senior year of high school, and just moved back to Tennessee from Washington State. I wasn't a great student, so I failed a couple of classes, and I knew if I was to graduate on time, I'd have to take some summer classes, or kind of take another semester or whatever during my senior year of high school, And so I'm like, well, hell, I know where I can go to get my diploma on time. I'll just go back down to Tennessee. And turned out I only needed 2 credits to graduate, a senior English and a junior English. So I felt like I was a genius. But so that summer, I'd met a friend of mine when I was a freshman at the same high school I went back to my senior year. And, I reached out to him. He's like, man, you got to come on over. And so I went over and his dad, and I'll just call his dad Eddie. His dad was a big old farm boy. They owned a lot of acreage. And again, I could tell you 300 acres. I could tell you 1,000 acres. I don't know the exact acreage, but I know he owned a huge swath of land, and he had 3 different grow fields that he would grow soybeans, tobacco, cotton, corn, and every season he would switch it up. He wouldn't grow the same crop in the same field, I'm not a farmer, so I don't know why they do that. But anyway, in the middle between his house and his grow fields, his crop fields, he had like a swath of forest, and it was old growth, whatever kind of trees, oak, elm, whatever they are. He had an old house in the middle of these woods, and it could have been at one time been like an old farmhouse, but there were no windows. They'd all been busted out. The doors were gone. It was kind of falling in on itself in certain parts of it. The ceiling and the floorboards were real sketchy, so we never really went up in there. We'd been up in this house a few times. This particular day, I go over, and first thing Eddie says to me something like, boy, what are you doing here? Ain't you got a home? And I'm like, well, me and I'm not going to say my buddy's name. I'll just call him Charlie. And I go, yeah, me and Charlie are going to hang out. And he's like, all right. He goes, what? Mom comes in, says her highs. And we go in there and I start snacking on some chips or something. He's like, boy, here you are eating my food. You ain't even in my house, whatever. And he's messing with me. Mr. Eddie's messing with me. And he goes, yeah, your mom and I were going out to here. Don't stay up too late. Don't get into anything. Don't let the dogs in the house. We may be back later tonight. If not, we'll be home early in the morning. And I don't know what they were doing. But he goes, here's where we are, or where we're going to be. Do not call us unless someone's dead, you're dying, or the house is on fire. Other than that, do not call me. Like, okay. So he leaves, and we go out to go riding dirt bikes. And we're out tearing through the woods. We're these little access dirt roads where he drives his tractor along and stuff to the fields. We're driving all over this. And, it started getting kind of late. And so we headed on back to the house. Well, when you go into the woods, it kind of got darker because they're kind of dense in certain parts. So we go whipping by, and Charlie's in front of me. And all of a sudden he just gasses it as we come up to the house. And I look over just out the corner, I see something. I kind of look, and I thought that I saw somebody standing in one of the windows of this house. And I see Charlie, he's taken off. So I get on the little dirt bike I'm on, and I come up, and normally we would just ride him right into the barn where all the equipment was kept, but he went right up to the back door of his house, almost to the deck. And I go running up. I go, man, did you see someone out there? He goes, why do you think I took off? And so we're like, okay. Do you want to go down and look? I said, no. He goes, I think I might be seeing something. I said, well, man, I think I saw someone down there. He goes, well, it is what it is, I guess. So, we went back up into the house. Now, he had 3 dogs, 3 huge, just mutts, except for one. One was a German Shepherd. 2 of them were mutts, and they were all big farm dogs. Now, his dad had this backyard, was easily maybe an acre, and there was no fencing. It didn't, because it butted right up to the tree line. And so, there'd be times, we'd see coyotes or deer or whatever, it's kind of mosey on through the backyard, and these dogs would not react to it. They just wouldn't. Like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Seen them a million times. We're not going to worry about it. They're pretty mellow dogs, and they only barked when someone pulled up into the driveway, and then they realized it was someone that they knew, or they stopped barking, and then now they wanted to jump up on you and hang out. So we're up in the house, and it's probably around, I don't know, maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock. It's just getting dark, and we're eating some food. He's in the kitchen, like cooking some stuff up, and I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing in his house. I'm sitting in Mr. Eddie's chair. Okay. Now, anybody that's from down south, or anybody, that has that redneck daddy, they have a chair. You do not sit in that chair. Even if they're not home, you don't sit in that chair. That's his chair. Well, I'm sitting in his chair, and it reclined and it swiveled, and right next to it had an end table with a lamp on it, and kind of leaned back a little bit, and I start flipping through the channels. Now, Mr. Eddie was like, don't do that. You're going to wear the buttons out. Well, click, 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 click. I got an uncle that tells me you shouldn't use your blinker that much because you'll burn out the bulb faster. Like, seriously, there's people out there like that, you guys. Trust me. So I'm sitting there, and Charlie's in the kitchen. Well, I hear like this scratchy noise. Like if you have a long fingernail and you kind of scratch it on like a screen or something like that. And I'm hearing this, and I'm thinking it's the TV, right? So I change the channel. Well, then I hear it. I'm probably hearing this scratching noise for like 10, 15 minutes. And I'm like, what the hell is that noise? Well, then I turn the volume all the way down, and I hear it coming from the right of me. And now this time it's dark outside now. It's dark. I got the lamps turned on. It's dark. It's like dark. If you look out the window behind me, it's dark. Okay. And I look over. Oh, shit. I'm getting goosebumps. I'm telling you guys. Okay. There's nothing behind me. I'm telling you. I see this face looking. Oh my guys. I'm telling you, man, I got chicken skin on my legs right now, on my arms right now. Seriously, I see this face, and it's looking right in at me, and it is, it's nothing that I've ever seen before in my life. It's pale white, huge mouth, huge wide mouth. I couldn't see any hair. Oh, skinny neck, big, not like alien eyes, but big eyes, and like a nose that kind of reminds me of like Voldemort from Harry Potter. So kind of like a pushed in nose, not wide, but just like a narrow pushed in nose. And I am man enough to admit that I screamed like a little girl. I'm not above owning that. I scream. I jump up off that chair. Charlie comes and he's like, what? I go, bro, there's a face. It's right there by the, what? He's like, what? I go, there's a face looking at the window. And I'm backed off now. I'm like on the other side of the living room. And he walks over there, and I'm thinking he's just kind of do one of these things. He's going to like kind of look, Oh, no, he doesn't do that. He puts his face right up to that window. And he kind of goes like this, but this thing went this way. And then he goes like this, and he jumps off the window. He's like, holy crap, I just saw something. And good Lord, I need a heater on me, man, because I'm telling you, it's freaking me out. He runs into his room, and he comes out, and he tosses us 2 instruments that we'd use to go out and take some ducks or geese out of the air. Okay. I don't want to risk anything that demonetizes your guys, and he throws me a box of freedom shells, And he's like, load it up. And I'm like, I'm not going out there. He's like, we're going out there. There's someone out by my dad's house, out by my house. We're going to make sure that we run them off. So we load up and we dump stuff in our pockets, and we go start taking, we start going from the living room through the dining room and then into the kitchen. And then you have the back door that goes out into a mud room. And then there's a door that goes out onto the back porch, back deck, whatever. And so as we're going through the mud room, he grabs a flashlight that his dad had plugged in. And I grabbed another flashlight. I was just sitting there. And we come jumping off the porch. Again, hindsight's 2020. I have no idea why we did that. I wouldn't do it now. And that's when we hear his dogs. And they are losing their mind. I have never heard his dogs bark like this. They are beside themselves. So as we're running across the yard, we're like, come on, boys, come on, come on, come on. We're flashing our lights. We're like, come on, boys, come on, let's get up here, come on. And they weren't moving. They were not moving. So we get down and we're thinking they're right inside the woods. They're not. They are about 25 feet from the wood line. So they're still well up into the yard, and they're like barking and they're like stomping when they bark, they're stomping their front paws. Like they're wanting to go. They want to go, but they won't. And then we hear this really like scream, holler, whatever, just something I've never heard. I've heard bobcat. I mean, I grew up partially in the Pacific Northwest, so I've heard cougars. I've heard every type of cat that you could possibly think of, that makes a noise. I've heard foxes. I've heard coyotes. It was none of these things. It's still putting a chill up and down my spine. And I go to look at my buddy. I go to look at Charlie, and that's when we notice the dogs are gone. And they're taken off. Well, I kind of look back to see the dogs, and I go back to say something to Charlie, and Charlie's not standing next to me. Charlie's hauling ass back up to the house. And I'm like, holy crap. Well, I turn and I hear something just ripping through the woods, like towards me. So I'm hitting the flashlight. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm hitting the flashlight, and all of a sudden something in my head's like, hey, dummy, you need to run. So I take off running, and I'd stop every now and again. Oh my God, man, I've only told this a few times. And I kept flashing this flashlight, and it was not a great flashlight. I still to this day feel that this thing was just beyond the beam of this flashlight. Like I felt that it was coming up after me. I'm running. I get up there. They're already in the house. And when I say these three big country farm dogs who slept out in the barn that hardly ever went into the house, probably knew they weren't supposed to be in the house, are in the house, and they are shaking. It's like they just came in from like subarctic weather. It looks like they're freezing. I shut the door and I'm like, it's coming up behind me. I just know it. So we start locking doors, locking windows, pulling shades, putting furniture in front of doors. And for whatever reason, I don't know why we did it. We took his dad's chair and we tried to shove it up into the stairwell because we were afraid that if this thing magically transported itself up onto like the back awning up into where his bedroom was, that it would come through the bedroom and then come down the stairs. But we thought in our infinite wisdom that this chair was going to be like the barrier, the whatever you want to call it, the shield that was going to stop it from coming down the stairs. And we're going around, we're double checking everything, and I don't know what time, but we fell asleep. The next thing I remember is I feel someone just kick the living hell out of my boot. And it's his dad. And he's like, what the? And he's losing his mind. What are the damn dogs doing in here? Why do you guys got guns out? I mean, I'm sleeping. When he wakes me up, I've got one dog across my chest. I got another dog that's like underneath my arm. Eddie's practically laying, or not Eddie, but Charlie's practically laying on top of me, so we got like a compromising position going on. And he's like, boy, what's going on? And now we're like two gossiping little girls. Well, we're trying to talk over each other, trying to tell him the story. And he's like, whoa, what did you see? And I told him, I said, this is what I saw. That's where it was. And so he gets up and he walks outside. Now, Mr. Eddie was a big man, like 6'4", 6'5", easy 300 pounds. And to me, it looked like he could bench press a tractor. Like he was a big man, huge hands, worked out in the fields, probably was a farmer's whole life. Okay. Just these, you know what working man's hands look like. And he comes running back in as best he could. And he runs right in his room and he grabs a civilian version of a military version of something. And he's got these little containers that hold 30 freedom seeds. And he's stuffing them in his pocket. And he's like, come on, let's go. And we're like, what do you mean go? He goes, well, between you guys screaming, you guys said you saw it first down by the house in the woods. And me and Charlie look at his dad. We're like, we're not going. He's like, oh no, you're damn sure going. I go, Mr. Eddie, I'm not going. He's like, Daniel, get your ass in the truck. Yes, sir. I'll get in the truck. So we go and we get out there and he gets in the driver's side of the truck. Me and Charlie are in the back in the bed, and he drives down along the little access path that he made. So he takes his tractors through there, goes around the back side of the backyard, off into the woods. Now we're thinking he's going to stop a little bit away from the house. Nope, he pulls that damn truck right up to the front porch of this truck or this house. And I'm like, what is your dad doing? And he gets out and he's like, okay, where'd you see it? And all Charlie could do was point. He's like, damn it, boy, where'd you see it? And I go, Mr. Eddie, I saw it right there in that window. He's like, on the outside or on the inside? And I go, no, it was on the inside. So he gets up and he walks up the stairs and goes into the house. And he goes, right here? I go, yep, right there. Now, when you go into this house, you go in. If you turn to your immediate right, there's a stairway that goes upstairs. Okay. Everything else off to the left is like a huge, like living room. Okay. Fireplace. You go through a door and you could see from the front door all the way to the back door. Okay. Off here, if you go through the next door, there's like a dining room. And then off here is like a bedroom, like a smaller bedroom and a bathroom. And then you go out into the last door, and then that's the whole kitchen. And then as you go out the very back door, to go into the backyard, there's a stairwell right before that door that goes upstairs. So there's two ways to go up and down from downstairs to upstairs. And I see him walking, and as I'm looking, I kind of see him disappear into the kitchen. And all of a sudden, probably about 10, 15 seconds later, I hear Mr. Eddie, Charlie, start the truck. And he comes running, like literally like a bull through a china shop. He's coming through that one door, through the dining room, into the living room, and he jumps off the porch, lands down. Now, about this time, one of the dogs had come down there. The German Shepherd had come down there. And he's kind of like seeing it. He gets there just as Mr. Eddie jumps off that porch. And the truck's already started. He pushes Charlie over the other side. I jump in the bed of the truck. I'm trying to get the dog to jump in the bed of the truck with me. Mr. Eddie whips back real quick. The dog gets what needs to happen, and he takes off like a flash, like he's gone. Mr. Eddie tore up his backyard, driving right through his backyard. He parked his truck right up near the back deck, like where we dump the mini bikes, right? He runs in the house. Now we're outside still at this truck, and we're now laser locked on that tree line. About 25, 30 minutes, maybe, give or take, whatever. we hear this semi truck pulling in, and on the back of this truck is a excavator. They drop that excavator off. Mr. Eddie jumps in the excavator and drives through his backyard, straight to the thing, and he levels that house. Completely gone. Like there was never a house. I mean, there was debris and stuff, but I mean, he flattened it. And
Oh my God.
and I don't know. I go, Mr. Eddie, what happened? He goes, I'm not talking about it. Don't need to worry about it. It's done. It's over. It's done with. Don't know. So I tried to talk a few times shortly after that happened. Wouldn't talk about it. Years later, after we had both graduated, I saw him. I was back in Tennessee visiting my mom, and I just happened to bump into him at an IHOP. And I'm like, holy crap, dude. He's a big old hug, big, hey man, good to see you. How you been? You look great. What's going on with your life? And we talked probably about 15, 20 minutes. And then I said, man, you remember that summer? He goes, no, I don't want to talk about it. I do not want to talk about it. I go, he goes, I'm going to tell you right now, man, we didn't have any more sightings. We didn't see anything or hear anything. I just don't want to talk about that. And I look at him. He's like, man, if you talk about things too much, there's a chance you're going to manifest something. And he goes, I don't want to take that chance. I go, well, do you still live? He goes, yeah. He goes, I built a house on that property. He goes, my mom and daddy's still there. He said, once you stop by, they'd love to see you. And I never got a chance to go over and see his mom and his dad. But, I didn't know what that was. And then I was listening to a episode on the confessionals with Tony Merkel. And I had been a guest on his show, and he mentioned someone was talking about this thing called the rake. And I guess now people are calling them the crawlers or whatever. And I didn't know really what it looked like. And he goes, if you want kind of a similar what it looks like, look up that movie, that Mel Gibson movie called Signs. And if you look at the alien, this is what the guest is saying. He goes, that's similar to what it looked like. So while I'm talking to Tony Merkel during this interview, I'm Googling that movie Signs. And then I see the alien on there, and I almost fell out. And I'm like, Tony, I just looked up Signs, that alien on Signs. I said, that's almost identical to what I saw. Almost identical. But it was more, I don't know, man. It wasn't standing upright. It was kind of hunched over, gangly, whatever you want to call it, like skinny arms and like really pale skin, not like gray pale, but like white. Man, I'm telling you. And here's the thing. I don't know how long the thing was looking through the window at me. I don't.
So do you think, Daniel, and I know there's no way of knowing this, but in your gut, what's your gut telling you that it was? Was it a rake or was it an alien, since it looked so much like this reported alien?
I when I told that story, a lot of people were saying that I encountered an alien called the Greys or something like that. I don't know. But I don't know, man. It didn't look like an alien to me. It didn't. Every depiction of an alien you hear, they have big, wide eyes. This didn't have big, wide eyes. It had big eyes, but that mouth, man, that mouth. And you could see some of the teeth, and they were gnarly looking teeth, dude. It's like its mouth was like this wide. Like if it opened its mouth, it could like swallow a golf or like a basketball. That's what it looked like.
That's scary.
Yeah, now hindsight's 2020. I would have probably used something like Mr. Eddie had. Yeah, 53 years old. Yeah, I'd have probably sent it some freedom seeds. Absolutely.
a lot of, but he took it to the extreme and he just demolished the whole house.
He tore that whole house down.
He said,
So,
"Job done."
absolutely. So, but yeah, that's honestly, in my opinion, that's probably one of the scariest things I've ever encountered.
Well, yeah, because you always have these, and I just don't look out the window at night. If we're
Yeah.
in the living room, my curtains are closed. I mean, nothing can see me. I can't see anything. We're good.
Yeah.
Because to look out and see a face looking back in at you like that, mm-mm.
Well, I got something that always sits right next to me.
Yes.
So if I see something looking through that window, one, y'all gonna hear me scream like a little girl, and then I'm gonna send it some freedom seeds, and then I'm gonna
Yes.
run upstairs and get some other stuff.
You'll have a lot more pew-pews.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wild. So let's get into this Bigfoot sighting that you alluded to that you wanted to talk about.
Okay, so 1984, Washington State. I was 12 years old, and I had just moved back with my dad. My dad was newly single after his third marriage, and yeah, I didn't like that woman. That woman was sheer evil, like legit evil. My mom was on her third marriage, and yeah, my stepdad was a straight up jerk. And I just told my mom I can't do it anymore. I want to go live with dad. I can't do it anymore. And so my brother and I, we moved in with our dad, and he was living in a hold on a second. I see a question down here. What caliber or gauge freedom seeds do you use for home defense? Well, we'll answer that on the Q&A. So anyway, my dad was newly single, and he was living in an adult RV park. Now, some people like, oh, adult RV park. It wasn't like that. There was a lot of 60 and 70-year-old people living in this. Okay, so you see that freaking picture right there? Okay, the build, the same. The coloring, way off. The mouth needs to be bigger. The nose, like the tip of the nose, needs to be sloped down just a little bit more. And the eyes are a little more wider. I don't recall seeing any ears or anything like that, but its head was kind of shaped like that. That's almost if the changes were made to what I saw, that's what I saw. And when I saw it from like probably its clavicle bone, top of its shoulders up. And Charlie saw it running away, and he said it was quick when it ran away.
That's
that's poop your drawers material right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That's terrifying. No,
thank you. Nope.
All right, sorry to interrupt your news story, but that's what I was doing the last 5 minutes. I was having trouble getting it to upload, so I was trying to share it before you moved on.
Yeah, sorry, my bad.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So, we move into this adult RV park with my dad, and I'm 12, my brother's 10, and he got the okay from the owners of the park as long as we didn't make a nuisance of ourselves. We did the absolute opposite. We actually helped out. Whenever a storm would come through, we'd go around the grounds and we'd pick up any fallen branches and things like that. We would take trash out for people. We didn't want my dad to get kicked out for something that we did. This was not an area of living that my dad wanted us to grow up in. So little did we know, he goes and he bought 5 acres of land about between 5 and 10 miles away from where this park was, this RV park. And he had dropped us off in Tacoma to spend the weekend with our aunt, my aunt and uncle. And when he came and picked us up, he just drove right by the RV park. And we're like, Dad, what are you doing? He's like, I want to show you guys something. So we go a few miles down this road again. I don't remember the exact mileage. I don't remember the street names. I just don't. And I wish I did. And I apologize. You guys, this is 41 years ago. So, and I've moved a lot in my 53 years. I have lived on different continents. I have lived in different states, different time zones. I bounced around like a ball sometimes. So, I didn't have the best childhood growing up when it came to parents at times, but I think I had a pretty amazing childhood growing up. So, back to the story. He turns right, goes down this road till it comes to a T stop. He turns right again, goes down to this road until it ends. And right off to the right, there's a gravel road. Now, back in the day, I thought it was like, I don't know. I thought it was like 5 miles long. It wasn't. It's probably a mile and a half, maybe a mile 3/4. The road kind of slopes down a little bit, then it kind of levels off, then it has like a little tiny rise, then it levels off, then it slopes down again. And it does this a couple times until it goes down to where my dad pulled in off to the left. And we're like, Dad, what is this? And then I notice our fifth wheel. That's what we were living in, a fifth wheel. Right there. And in that weekend that we were gone Thursday to Sunday, him and some friends had moved the fifth wheel, had built a really nice sized deck on the side of the fifth wheel, had cleared a bunch of land that I wouldn't say a bunch, some of it was probably already cleared before. And we're like, what's this? And he's like, this is our new home. He goes, there's 5 acres of land here. We probably had 4.5 acres of woods to explore. But that was just our property. But there was a lot more of acreage of land. There was maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 acres of woods. Very few homes were in the area. It's like maybe 1 or 2, if I can recall right. And we get out and we're super excited, and we go and we check things out. And he's like, over here, you see all these little stakes with ribbons on them. This is the outline of the house I want to build for us. And we're going to have a good time here. And so he'd built a shed over on the one side. Now, if you're not familiar with the fifth wheel, they have like a little loft area. And there's like 2 twin size beds, mattresses. Actually, you couldn't put a full bed up there. My brother slept on the left-hand side closest to the deck. Mm-hmm. I slept side closest to the tree line. Now, between the fifth wheel, the camper, and the tree line, it was maybe 50 to 65 feet. Okay. So we get all settled in, and this huge storm was hitting us one night. And it was just, my dad had put cement blocks underneath the fifth wheel, so it gave it like a firmer foundation. He had anchor straps on it, so it was strapped down. And the wind was blowing so hard that the camper would shake a little bit, Mm-hmm. Loud booms of thunder, bright flashes of lightning, and rain. You thought the rain was going to come right through the roof. And it kind of kept me awake, but then the sound of the rain kind of started making me relax a little bit more. And then I just felt our camper go like this and then crash back down.
No way.
And I don't know why I did it. I ripped open the curtain like this. And at the right time I did that, holy smokes, man. The right time I did this flash of lightning lit up the sky. And I saw this figure pass underneath this tree branch and off into the woods. Okay. I let out a scream. Dad, it's a GD Bigfoot. Okay. My dad, don't say that. No, it wasn't. Don't say that. Yes, it was. I saw it. Okay. I look back at it now. I did not have an absolute clear sighting. I saw something huge. I saw it go underneath this tree limb, and I watched it go off into the woods. Okay. That's all I could give you. Is it a Sasquatch? Now I can say yes. But then that's what I thought it was. Okay. Brother didn't wake up. He is such a sound sleeper. When he was alive, he was such a sound sleeper that you could drop a bomb next to him and he might roll over just to get more comfortable, but he wouldn't wake up. So the next morning, we go out, and I'm immediately running to the tree line. And I'm looking, and you could see something had gone through there, but it had rained all night long, and it was muddy. So to get a clear print or something, I don't think you would have got one. So then I'm looking at this tree, and I'm like, Dad, it went right underneath this branch. And I said his head was like this far from the top where that branch was. And he's like, that's not possible. I go, Dad, it is. So he goes over and he unlocks the shed and he pulls out a tape measure and he starts raising it up, and he raises it. I go, yeah, right there. That's where I saw his head. And he's like, that there's no way that you saw something that big. I go, Dad. He's like, Daniel, this is like 7.5 feet tall, 8 feet tall. There's no way. He goes, this limb is 9 feet from the ground. I go, Dad, I'm telling you, his head was like this far underneath that branch. And I turned around because I was mad because he's telling me I didn't see what I saw. And when I turned around, I said, holy S. But I didn't say S. I said the whole word. I went, shh. You know? And he goes, what? I go, Dad, look at that. And he looks, and there is a massive dent on the side of our camper. And I go, Dad, look at that. And some of the cement blocks that he had put down there were crushed. And 2 of the anchor straps were completely pulled up out of the ground. Completely pulled up out of the ground. And he's like, what the heck? And about that time, my brother comes around. He's like, what? And my dad's like, he goes, yeah, a limb hit the camper last night. He's like, oh, that's what that noise was. So he heard something. Fast forward a couple of months. I say we're summertime. Okay, it was summertime, and we're coming back from Tacoma. My dad picked us up. We were there for like a week, visiting my aunt and uncle, my cousins. And we, again, for some reason, I've got 1 to 2 a.m. in my head for some reason, but in actuality, it was more probably like 11 to 12, but I don't understand why I have 1 or 2 a.m. in my head for some reason. And we pull off of the paved road onto the gravel road. Now, at the end of this gravel road and at the end of this paved road, there's a street light. It's the only one in the area. We drive down. My dad had just put new, when we moved out here, he had put new fog lights or driving lights, whatever you want to call them, on his car. And he had them angled outwards. Instead of straight off, he had them angled outwards because we, since we'd lived there, we'd seen deer, porcupine, coyotes, raccoons. We saw so many animals, a lot of deer. And my dad didn't want one rushing out and blasting the side of his car or him running into one. So whenever he turned them on, you could see the whole sides of the roads. You could see everything. If there's something in a ditch, you're going to see it, right? So as he's driving, I see eye shine as we come off the main road. And I go, Dad, there's something up on the road. He's like, it'll move by the time we get up there. I'm like, okay. So we go down. We come up one of those little rises. It starts leveling off, and we see the eye shine. I see the eye shine again. I go, Dad, it's still there. It didn't move. I go, turn your brights on. And he's like, no, it'll hear us coming. It'll see us coming. It'll be gone by the time we get up there. So again, we go down. We come back up one of these little rises, and this is the area where it's at, but it's on like the back part of this rise. So it's not like right there as you come up the top of this little rise. We get up on the top of this rise, and that's my dad, as he's coming up, he turns his brights on, turns those driving lights on, and he comes up, and then boom, it's right there. And this female stands up and just keeps going and going and going. My 12-year-old mind, I didn't think she was going to stop. I thought she was going to keep going. She was massive. And when I say, this is why I say it's a she, because she turned at the torso and went like this. And when she went like this, she had breasts. They weren't bare. She had hair. It was light hair, like thin hair. It wasn't like she had a fur coat on. She was wrapped up. It was. You could definitely tell that they were there. She had long hair. It was about 4 to 6 inches. It hung down from here. Black skin. She had her lip. And again, I'd never really gone into detail until someone really asked me, what detail did I see? I said, I kind of saw her face, and her nose was kind of like pushed in, but not super wide. She had a pronounced, brow. But one thing that's always stuck into my mind, and again, she had like a thin upper lip and just like a regular shaped lower lip. I didn't see any teeth. Her hair had almost no hair on it. I mean, her face had almost no hair on it. I didn't see any ears, but for some reason, I want to say she had like long hair, kind of like yours, Tiffany. Kind of like yours. I didn't say. I'm not saying it was parted, but it just kind of looked like long hair, kind of hung a little low. But you could tell that her head was not like the conical shape like on Harry and the Hendersons, but it did have a little bit of elongation, a little bit, and they kind of. Again, with her hair, I couldn't see the whole shape of her head. Massive, broad shoulders, like thick torso. She was like a dark, not black, but not like gray, like a dark charcoal gray almost. And when she turned her torso, that's when I saw the front part of her. And then what she did is she kind of like turned back, but did kind of like a 180-degree turn and just took 2 steps off the road, and then she was off into the trees. Now, when I first saw her turn and go like this to the time that she turned, this was only a matter of seconds. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, probably 4 or 5 seconds tops. And when I saw her taking that step off, I ducked down into the floorboard. Now, my dad did not slow down. He did not speed up. My dad was maybe going 20, 25 miles an hour on this dirt road. When we were passing where I was thinking it was about the area where she was standing, I peeked my head up and looked out the passenger front side window. And there was still enough ambient light maybe. And I looked off into the woods and I saw her. And she was standing up. And I watched her blink her eyes twice. Now, we're about 150 meters away from where we turn in. My dad turns in. As soon as my dad's car starts to slow down to maybe 5 miles an hour, maybe, I don't know. I didn't wait for it to stop. I opened up the passenger side door. I jumped the hell out of the car, ran around, had my keys out, opened up the camper door, and from the camper door to my dad's bed, because there was a queen sofa sleeper right there, and that's what he slept on, so he had it open. I jumped from the front door into his bed. Seconds later, I hear my dad's door shut, and I hear him step up on the deck. Now there were 4 steps. I jumped over those 4 steps onto the deck and then into my dad's bed when I got to the door. My dad comes in, walks up the little stairway that's right to the right of the door, puts my little brother up, and immediately goes into the kitchen and starts pulling fruit, vegetables, whatever. Okay. And when my dad built this deck, my dad was a bird watcher. So as you go up the stairs, there's like a window right there that you could look out. And he put this 10, 15 foot, I want to say like a 15-foot tall metal pole on one corner of the deck. And he put a platform on top of this, a wooden platform, because he wanted to build a bird feeder so he could take pictures of birds. That's just something my dad loved to do. So he takes this food, he puts it on one of the tables that's on the deck. I hear him step off the deck, opens up the shed. You can hear him fiddling with the lock. You hear him, it's obvious he's taking a ladder out. And he comes up, he puts the ladder up next to this pole with the platform on top of it, comes into the house, grabs a rag from underneath the sink, and goes back out, climbs up the ladder, puts all this food up here. And then he takes this tube, which I later found out was grease, and he put it on this rag and he greased the pole from the very top of this pole where the bottom of the platform was all the way down to where it met the railing on the deck. And I'm watching my dad do this, and I'm standing in the doorway and I go, Dad, why did you do that? Why did you put on? He goes, I put grease on. I go, well, why? He goes, so no animals can get this food. And in my mind, it kind of stopped for a moment. And I'm like, to stop like raccoons? He's like, yeah, exactly, raccoons. That made all the sense in the world to me. For a brief second, from what we had just seen 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, my mind wasn't on that now. Now I'm worried about some freaking raccoons trying to climb this greased pole to eat this food that my dad put up here, and I have no idea why my dad put that up there, right? So he takes and puts the ladder back in the shed, locks it up, and my dad was a smoker, but he never smoked in the camper. He always smoked outside. And so he shuts the door, but doesn't shut it all the way. And I'm sitting on the stairs and I'm listening. I'm being nosy. And I hear my dad talking. And I don't recall exactly what he said, but I remember him saying things like, we saw you, you saw us, something like that. These are my boys. We just want to build a home here. We're a family. We don't want any trouble. We don't mean any disrespect. Please just don't scare or hurt my boys. Right? I hear him say this, and then he starts to. I hear him walking towards the door. I jump onto his bed, and I go, Dad, who are you talking to? He's like, oh, I was praying, and I go, well, I didn't hear you say amen. And he goes, oh, amen. And so I'm sitting on his bed, and he kind of stands in the door. He shuts the door, and he's still standing by the door, and he's looking at me, and he's like, buddy, do you want to sleep with me? And I go, can I? And he's like, yeah, absolutely you can. So I'm laying in bed with my dad, and I think this is where I'm getting like the 1 or 2 in the morning type thing. Mr. Wayne, have you ever heard the noise that boards make when something super heavy is sat on them, or like you're maybe pulling a truck up on something, that creak and that groan and the popping that wood makes?
Oh yeah, I think we all have.
I hear that. I hear it stepping onto the deck.
And are you thinking that this is still that same female?
I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
And I look at my dad, and my dad's wide awake, and he's like, now I've got my arm kind of rested, like pushed up against this wall of this camper. And the camper walls, if you guys know, they're maybe about that thick. Okay. Maybe at 2, 3, maybe 4 inches thick. And by the time I see my dad doing this, I hear and feel something run along that wall. Like boom, 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 boom. Something heavy running. And then I hear something else step up on this deck. And these boards are groaning and they are popping. And I imagine I'm probably starting to cry. And then I hear this. And I look at my dad, and I'm probably bawling by now.
Well, did you have to go wipe?
The only thing I could do is press my body as close to my dad as I possibly could. And that's when I realized my dad had his freedom launcher sitting on his chest. And it's named after a really big snake. And like the Burmese pythons, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's silver. It's beautiful. And I look at my dad, and he's trying to keep it together. And he puts his arm over me like this and pulls me in closer. And I remember falling asleep. Well, I don't remember falling asleep, but I know I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Now, the door had a window in it. And the window was like one of those like bathroom windows that you can't see out of, but you can't see in, but that slide in. It's like it's not
Yeah.
like frosted, but it is frost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, talking about.
So the curtain was open a little bit, and the sun was shining through, and that's what hit me in the face and woke me up. I jump out of bed, like I'm standing on my dad's bed. I jump over him, and I land right at the door. I open the door up, and I did something that under any other circumstance, my dad would have probably pulled a razor strap out and gave me a good correction. I jumped up on the railing of this deck. Now, the step up into the fifth wheel is easily 3 feet, maybe. It's it's pretty high step up. And then the railing you put on there was my dad put like a 4-foot railing on there. So it was about 7 feet up in the air. And I could have easily jumped up there and misplaced my foot and fell off and hurt myself. So my dad always told me not to do that. But I did it anyway this time, and I walked along like a tightrope walker. And I looked up, and everything that my dad had put up there was gone. Everything. And I jumped down. My dad was already getting up and walking to the door when I hit the deck. And I go, "Holy S, Dad, all the food's gone. They took it all." And he's like, "What?" I go, "Dad, there's no food up there." And I go and I look, and you could see on this pole where something had grabbed it in different parts of this, different lengths of this pole. And I go, "Dad, look at this." And something had taken its finger and as high up as it could reach, moved its finger all the way down the pole. And then where you can see it had wiped its finger off on the railing. And I go, "Dad, it's all gone." And he's like, "Don't tell your brother. Don't tell your brother." Move forward probably a month or so. Now, out there, you didn't have trash service, so you burnt your trash. And we had a big 55-gallon barrel. And my dad had emptied like 2 bags, like 20-pound bags of sand at the bottom of this barrel because if you have bad windstorms, he doesn't want that to blow over and everything scatter. And one day he came home from work and he pulls up and he slams the door of his car. And I come walking out on the deck and he's like, "You want to tell me what happened?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Where's the burn barrel?" And I go, "What do you mean, where's the burn barrel?" And he's like, What part of where is the burn barrel do you not understand?" I go, "Dad, I don't know. I didn't burn trash today." He goes, "It's not there." I go, "What do you mean it's not there?" He goes, "Did you move it?" I go, "Dad, I don't even weigh 100 pounds. How am I going to move this big burn barrel?" And he goes, so he comes over, he goes, "Explain this to me." And I'm like, "Dad, I don't know what you're talking about." So I start walking around looking. And I go, "Dad, I found it." He's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "I found it. It's in the woods." Something had picked up that burn barrel and tossed it in the woods. Now, my dad goes, "What could have done this?" And I go, "It was that effing Bigfoot. That's what it was." He's like, "Don't say that word, you know?" And he goes, "Don't say nothing. I don't want your brother to know." And my brother about that time comes walking around. And he's like, "You don't want me to know what?" I go, "Bobby, look what moved a Bigfoot. He threw the burn barrel into the woods." And my dad whack smacked me in the head. He's like, and like nonchalant, nothing ever happened. My brother goes, "Well, I don't think it was one of the small ones that I saw." And I'm like, what do you mean? And my dad's like, what? He's like, oh yeah. He goes, I've seen the small ones quite a few times. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, when you cook out, we always put the speakers out on the deck and you're cooking and we're listening to music and stuff. He goes, I've seen them a couple times. I've seen them. My dad's like, what do you mean? I go, yeah, what do you mean you've seen him? He goes, oh, I've seen them walk along the tree line. They sit down and they listen to the music. And then when we turn the music off, I see him get up and they leave. And I'm like, what? He's like, oh yeah. And he goes, I threw some of my baseballs out there and hoping they would throw it back to me. And I've never seen it again. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. So it just blew my mind. Is there a way we can take a break? I've got to use the restroom.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're good.
Sorry, guys.
No, you're fine. You're fine. All right, we'll just go ahead and.
Whoops. We're competing. We both have a clue.
All right, guys. I kind of want to know why Troy kicked dude out. Do you know anything about that, Tiffany?
I absolutely do, because I've been deleting his comments as they come up, and a lot of them have been disrespectful, and some of them have been racist.
I thought I saw a racist one, and I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt.
I was just watching him. I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. Not all the comments were bad or disrespectful or racist, but the majority of them were. So we were just kind of tag teaming it. But yeah, there were some.
So who blocked him? You or Troy?
Troy did.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I reached out to Troy on Discord and said, hey, he might need to be removed.
Okay. Looks like Mr. Daniel is ready to go.
Guys,
right.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
That was Hey, how's it going, Tiffany?
I don't need to be the only one.
Man, I'm telling you, that was a lot more than 12 ounces of Mountain Dew. I'm telling you that.
Y'all in your Mountain Dew. That's what Wayne.
But
well, I mean, before you continue, Daniel, I do have a question for you.
Sure.
From everything you talked about with your dad, it kind of sounds like maybe he had experience with these things before. Have you ever considered that?
Oh yeah, my dad grew up in Alaska.
So he did have experience.
He never came out and said that he had experiences with Bigfoot, or Sasquatch. I like to say Sasquatch. But he had an encounter that he believes to the day that he passed away. He had an encounter with the Kushtaka, the otter man up in Alaska, and he swore to the day that he passed away that he saw a werewolf. So cryptids to my dad. I think that my dad knows, and I've never really asked him if he had any encounters with a Sasquatch. He never really talked about anything like that, but he said he has seen things when he's been out hunting. He's heard things when he's been out hunting. He even relayed a story that my grandfather had when he was a logger up in Alaska. And I'll tell you that one after my encounter. That one's a pretty crazy one.
Okay.
So, again, my brother, said he had seen him, and my brother and I, we had gone and built a tree house. We had a tree house that was like 15 feet up in the air, and we'd acquired wood from some construction sites of houses that were around. We went to their scrap piles and we pulled out what we could pull out, and that's what we built our tree house out of. And there'd be a couple times where we would walk off into the woods and I'd stop about 25 steps, 50 steps into the woods. And I look at my brother, I'm like, dude, we need to go back to the house. And so we would haul butt back to the camper and just hang out there. My brother said there's a couple times he'd walked out to the treehouse only to see one of the younger ones jump out of the treehouse and take off running through the woods.
Really?
Yeah. I never saw or had a clear sighting of the male, the alpha male, because I am 100% confident that we had a family living in, on, or around our property. Obviously, the female was the mom. My brother saw two young ones, juveniles. I think the one that threw our burn barrel and tried to tip over our camper was like a young adult, probably like 19 to like 18, 19, 20, 21, around that time frame. And then I believe I had a sighting of the adult, the male, the dad. Not like I saw the female. There's a time where I was in the treehouse with my brother. We were up there goofing off, and we just got the air changed. Like you sensed there was something going on. And I looked out, kind of went like this, kind of looked out the window just in time to see something go like this. And then it slowly moved back like this. And I said, man, we need to go. And my brother's like, yep. He goes, there's something out here. And I go, I think I saw it. I'm not sure. And so we got out. Now, you remember the treehouse was 15 feet up in the air. The head of this thing was, I'm guesstimate 9, maybe 10 feet tall. He was a big one, and he was wide. And when you say, you hear these guys, you see these guys talking all this trash on TikTok and everything, how they're alpha males. Any man who claims to be an alpha male, bro, you're a beta all day long. You can tell yourself whatever you want to tell you. When an alpha male comes into an area, everything about that area changes. They don't have to say nothing. And I got the sense that this guy wasn't only an alpha male around us. He was the alpha male in a whole region. He was probably the man that walked up Mount Rainier and let people know. I mean, he was a biggin. And from what I could tell, he was like black as night. Mm-hmm. And we didn't jump. We got out of that treehouse and we took off. And that only happened a couple of times. We never got the sense that he was trying to be aggressive towards us. I think he was just kind of checking up on us, like, hey, I'm in here. Don't do anything stupid. Kind of like my dad would do, Hey, Dad, can I ride the go-kart? Yeah, don't do anything stupid, So, yeah, that was that whole encounter, this happened probably over a 7-month period. And then
so
October.
Daniel, real quick, that very first time that when you were in the car with your dad and you saw the female, how close were you?
Inside of 10 feet, maybe.
Holy shit.
10, 15, maybe 20 feet.
So you got a good look.
Oh, I got a real good look. Real good look. And in front of us, she was probably maybe 35 feet in front of us. But as we passed where she was standing, was inside of 20 feet easily.
So you didn't just see boob, you saw nip.
Maybe. I mean,
that's my stupid attempt at humor. Sorry.
I mean, I got it. It's just, holy smokes, man.
That's close, dude. That is close. But everyone that I've ever talked to, and I agree, that's the best way to see one. I would rather see one in my car, driving down the road. And
it's funny, because like my dad built us a 2-seater go-kart with little off-road knobby tires, and we would tear up and down. We would find, you could tell that people were like trying to figure out the land, and you'd find like these holes that were dug by like a backhoe. What they're looking for, I don't know. I to this day I still don't know. But you'd see like a little road that would go off into an area, then you'd see like it was probably made by like an excavator or something. And so we would run our go-karts in and out of these areas, and we would just haul ass up and down this gravel road. And a lot of times I hear my brother goes, there she is, and I kind of whip my head around real quick, and I would just catch a small glimpse of something going back into the tree line. And, I honestly think that, she was just checking up on us. Like, she might have looked at us as maybe her kids. Never felt any sense of aggression or dread or anything around her. I personally have never saw the two juveniles. I did feel like really like there was one time my brother and I, we jumped in the go-kart and we were hauling ass down this road, and we turned into one of those little things. And for some reason, the minute we turned in there, I just put the brakes on and I go, we got to get out of here, man. So I jumped out and I pushed the go-kart back out, got back in, and took off. It was like a feeling of like negativity, like not quite dread, but hey, something's not right. You need to get out of there. And I'm thinking it was that young adult, because the young adult showed aggression. So much so as one day when me and my brother were messing around in the woods, we saw this kid just standing in the woods. This little boy about maybe my brother's age. And he goes, hey guys. And we're like, holy crap, here's this kid. And he goes, yeah, we live right over here. Well, we knew there was another house through the woods somewhere. We just didn't know exactly. We didn't want to come up through somebody's backyard and like, oh crap, all of a sudden we get rock salt shot at us, He goes, yeah, I was coming over to see if I could find your guys' place. You guys want to come over and play? We're like, sure. So we run back to my house, all three of us, and I'm like, Dad, we found a friend. Can we go and play at his house? He's like, yeah, just don't do anything stupid. Tell your dad he has permission to whip my kids' ass if they act up. That's how my dad was. And so we go over and we're playing. Now, we'd play every single day. Come to find out, he went to school with my brother, but his mom always drove him to school. He never had to ride the bus because we had to get up at like 4:30 in the morning to be up at the bus stop by like 5 because it was a rural route. And so our bus rides literally were like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, just going from stop to stop. And we were traveling miles, to get a full busload of kids. So we show up there one day, and as we come running, come pulling up in our go-kart, we see his dad walking around from the side of the house to the front of the house. And he's like, I don't get it. Who would do this? Why would someone do this? He didn't even notice we were there. And he goes walking back around the front of the house, and he's got like a big, like garbage bag, like a big, thick gauge plastic garbage bag, like you put leaves in or something, right? And we go just bebopping behind him, not thinking of anything. And you guys, I'm telling you, this is like a horror film. They raised rabbits, and they had this huge hutch, a custom-made hutch. You could lift the front part of the roof up like this, and it would lock in place. You could open the front out like this, like barn doors. So you could actually step into this hutch to clean it out, grab the rabbits, whatever. It had a lock on it. You had to manipulate it to open it up. You had to have this to open this lock, these locks on this thing. The roof that lift up was ripped up like this, like it was detached. The doors were pulled off. And he goes, I hear my friend's dad say, they're all here, but why? Why? So I peek around and I look. It was something you'd see out of a hack and slash film. Every single one of those rabbits were dead. The heads were pulled off. Some were skinned, like had the skin ripped off of them. Some were pulled apart like this. Some were pulled apart like this. And then they turn around. His mom sees us and she's like, you guys, come on, let's go in the house. Let's go in the house. I don't know. I can't definitively tell you, oh, yeah, this did this. But I'm willing to put $1 to a dime that it was that young adult. Because he was an a-hole. And I think he didn't do it. They were just apart and left.
What a jerk move.
Yeah. Why would you do it? You know? And you know, so after that, October timeframe came around, October 25th, 1984. My dad was involved in a really, really bad car accident. My dad was almost killed. I got a phone call from him because he knew we were getting up to go to school. And he's like, Daniel? I go, Dad. He goes, I just want to let you know I'm okay. I was involved in a really bad accident, and I'm going to the hospital. Your Aunt Pam's coming to pick you up. You know, okay, not a problem. So she comes, picks us up. We get all the stuff that we can. My dad has to rehab, live with my aunt. We come back that following spring. And when we go back in and look, those windows that were next to our mattresses up on that little loft and every other window around looked like someone was trying to look inside the camper. Now, those ones up by the loft, what are those, 10 feet high? Maybe higher. I firmly believe that they had came looking for us. One day we're there, the next day we're not there. The following day we're not there. The next month we're not there. Winter comes, we're not there. And that was the last time we saw that property. So that was my sighting.
Damn. And again, give us just a rough time frame. What year was this?
It was 84, and spring of 85 is when we saw like what looks like another, people looking in. But started probably because I remember starting 8th grade there. So when we moved back right before 8th grade started, and then so like 84, so around school year, so fall of 84, so
84.
Yeah, or fall of 83, 84.
I was 5 years old.
Man, listen to you.
And what state again was this?
Washington State.
Washington State.
Yep. West side of Washington, Graham.
Of course it was Washington. They got all the big feet up there.
That's how it was, man.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's insane. You've got quite a few questions, and we've already been going over an hour and a half. So
I'm sorry.
No, you're good,
don't
man.
apologize. You're good.
You are perfect. This is perfect. It's perfect. Our Saturday night shows are designed for this to be laid back and go as long as we need to. So you're good.
Last time you and I talked for an hour and 45 minutes, Daniel.
Yeah, we did.
Well, we still got 10 questions to get to, so we might beat that record.
All right. I haven't even told you about what happened to me at F.E. Warren Air Force Base.
Do you want to tell that?
Yeah, that's a pretty quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
And it's not Bigfoot related; it's paranormal related.
Hey,
get in there.
So I went from Germany to F.E. Warren Air Force Base. Was not happy about that at first. I wanted to stay overseas. Had orders amended by a jerk commander. Wound up at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, and to him. F.E. Warren was absolutely probably the best assignment I've ever had, and it was amazing. So I was I'm Air Force security police veteran. At this time it was security specialist and law enforcement specialist and security specialist. Now in 97 they combined both career fields again, and so now the Air Force is called the Security Forces. Okay. So I was assigned to the weapons storage area, and what we had in that area was just a bunch of freedom seeds, big and small. Okay. Well, they needed someone to work law enforcement this night. They were augmentating people because the law enforcement side of the house was shorthanded for our flight. And so they said, Daniel, you're going to be working Police 5 tonight. That's a relief officer. So you just go to the front gate. They need a break. You kind of take their place. And I'm like, cool, not a problem. You kind of do chow runs. You bring chow to the area. I go, perfect, no problem. I got that. So a guard mount, which is where they give us our briefings for the night, and our assigned post for the night. They say that, they had been having problems with people wandering into the cemetery at night. Now, some people say, well, Air Force bases don't have cemeteries, and mainly that's true. But F.E. Warren Air Force Base used to be an Army post, and it goes back to frontier days where people were moving east to west. Okay. And they were there to protect the settlers coming over from Native American attacks and things like that. So there is a cemetery on this base. It's not a big one. There are some World War II prisoners of war that are buried there. And so as I'm driving, I remember it was late November, full moon. There was snow on the ground. And I just was doing my regular patrol. As I'm driving through, and when I say a full moon, if you've never seen a full moon out in this part of the country, that moon is gigantic. And for whatever reason, it was letting off a lot of light that night. I didn't need to use a flashlight. And so I go and I look, and I see someone standing in the cemetery. And I'm like, oh man, I look at the clock. It's like 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, what is this person doing? It's probably 19, 20 degrees outside. I'm like, this person's stupid. So I pull up on the access road, have my cruiser running still. I get out and I'm walking towards this person. And I can clearly see that this person is a female. And she's wearing period clothes. I'm talking like late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. For whatever reason, this isn't clicking with me. I see someone standing here. And I'm like, ma'am, you can't be in here. You need to go. Ignores me. I'm like, ma'am. And I take another step closer. And when I take that step closer, she turns and faces me. And I go, ma'am, you can't. And when I said can't, I felt like something hit me in the face. I hear Control Police 5, radio check. Control Police 5, radio check. And I reach up and I grab my shoulder mic. Police 5, all secure. Copy that, Police 5. Control out. Then I realize I am laying on my back. And I'm like, what in the hell happened? So I don't know what happened. I'm laying on my back and I have this cold, this chill in my body, like to my bone, to my core. And I'm doing this check. I'm going at this checklist. Okay, I can move my neck. Okay, I can move my shoulders. I can move my fingers. I can wiggle my toes. I'm going through this whole, I don't know what happened. I don't know if I slipped, fell. Did I faint? I don't know. And I get up. And as I get up, I'm kind of brushing myself off. And then that's when I noticed the footprints. The footprints were mine.
Oh.
There were no other. Oh shit! I'm getting the goosebumps. There were no other footprints at all. Only mine. I get back to my cruiser and I look at my watch. I had been out for like 45 minutes. And I still had this chill. So I get in. It's nice and warm in the car. I turn the heat all the way up and I start driving off. And I'm purposely driving around as long as I can to get warm. And I could not get warm. Now I had cold weather gear jacket on, pretty thick jacket, had my insulated boots on and stuff. I could not get this chill off me. This chill was on me for almost a whole day. I just could not. When I got off shift, even people were asking me, dude, are you okay? Are you fine? I said, yeah, I'm just not feeling good. It might have been something I ate, but I didn't tell them that I was so cold. And I still remember my hands just shaking like this. I just couldn't get that cold out of my body. And when I went back to my dorm room, I literally climbed into a sleeping bag and pulled all my covers over me to try to get warm. It didn't work. I went and took a scalding hot shower and I could not get that chill out of my body. It was like a good day, almost day and a half before that chill subsided.
Did she just walk through you and she just left her essence?
I don't know, because this, like I said, it felt like like how powdery snow is, and when a gust of wind comes up and it kicks it up, it felt like that. It felt like my face was like someone had sprayed something on my face. And then I come to hearing the radio go off, and right here.
That's wild. Do you remember anything about her facial
Nope.
features or
Nothing? All I remember is the clothes. It looks like it was like a dark blue, or like a dark grayish blue, like a periwinkle. Is that a color?
It is.
Like is that like kind of like a dull blue?
It is. It's on the it's like a matte.
Yeah. So
Listen to Daniel asking like he don't know.
Is periwinkle a color? What about mauve? Is that a color?
Magenta, damn it.
Salmon. Is
You're
salmon
describing it perfectly. Describing it perfectly, but you don't know.
It was like a periwinkle color, like dress, but she had something all around her head. I'm not saying it was a bonnet, but she was dressed for the weather.
Mm-hmm.
And when I kind of got my wits to me, I literally walked around. I walked up to the grave she was standing at. There were no prints. There were no prints there. There were no prints when she was standing. There were no prints when I approached her. She approached me. No prints leaving. The only set of prints were my size 12 boots. That was it.
What was the time period on the gravestone? Did you happen to look?
I don't recall.
Mm.
But my guess, it being an old post, maybe that time period.
So maybe she's visiting somebody.
And I'll tell you right now, F.E. Warren Air Force Base is a very haunted base. It is documented. There are books. There's a book called is it Ghosts of the Prairie or something like that? F.E. Warren Air Force Base has its own chapter in that book.
That's interesting. I'll have to dig that up.
Yeah, I'll have to look for it as well. It's an amazing book.
Well, that just creeped me right the hell out.
Oh, I've seen other things on that base too, man. I have. It is crazy.
Let's if you don't mind, sir, let's get to some of these questions.
Sure.
Squatch and Holler, Roger, where in Tennessee? Daniel, I missed that part.
I was living I lived in Shelby County, and places where I lived in Millington, and then I also lived in a place called North Haven.
Okay. Alex is asking, how tall was the rake thing y'all saw?
I didn't see its height, but it was clearly looking in a window on the side of the house. So, however tall your standard size window is from the bottom of that down, it was easy looking in like the bottom pane. So if it's a two divided window, it was definitely looking in that lower part of the window. So what, maybe 6 feet tall? I don't know on how tall an average window is.
Okay. All right. T. Roy, do you believe you somehow attract paranormal activity to yourself?
I've been told by a few people before I started doing this whole thing, and even after that, someone's called me conduit. I don't know what that means. That I am sensitive. I've had encounters with paranormal since I was a small kid. I've had paranormal activity happening on here in my house, the one I'm sitting in right now. I've seen my little brother in my house a couple times. I've been pulled off of my bed. I've had my covers pulled off of me. I've had my oscillating fan turned on and start oscillating. Yeah.
Some people just got the goods. That's just
That's right.
Draw it.
And some people wouldn't consider them goods.
Right.
Nope.
All right, my buddy Matthew Maynard. Do you see Bigfoot as being more of a possible threat to humans in the near or distant future?
No, I see humans being more of a threat to Sasquatch, not in the near or distant future now, today. I think there's a lot of people out there that have bad intentions. They've survived this land thousands of years. Native Americans have warred with them. Native Americans have fought with them by their sides. They have fought with Native Americans by their sides. They've traded with Native Americans. Native Americans have helped them. They've helped Native Americans. We are the biggest threat to them. I don't feel that they're a threat to us.
Okay, that's a really, really cool answer. Troy also asking, what is Daniel doing next weekend? I'm assuming Troy wants you to come hang out with us at the LBL, but considering you're in Minnesota, that will probably be difficult.
Yeah, and next weekend, what do I got going on next weekend, you guys?
You are going to the Uinta?
Oh, what's next weekend? The 15th? I don't have
14th, 15th.
Yeah, I've got a couple of interviews set up.
No, if you want to fly out to Tennessee or to Kentucky to the LBL, we're camping.
You guys, I only fly unless I absolutely have to.
Well, then start driving right now. You might make it. All right. Again, Mr. T. Roy, how many encounters have you had with Bigfoot? Big feet.
Since doing this and I don't mean doing podcasting or going on podcasts, but having the availability of the internet at my fingers, I realized that prior to my sighting, I had 2 encounters. And then after my sighting, I had 3 encounters.
All right.
And the last encounter I had was in 1992. And that's the one that absolutely changed my life, in the sense where I no longer go off of beaten paths. If I'm hiking, I stay on established paths. I will not go looking for a better fishing spot because of that encounter. That's the one that shook me up the most.
Well, all right. T. Roy, what do you think Bigfoot are? Flesh and blood or something more?
See, I am a firm believer that they are enhanced in a certain way. I do 100% believe they are flesh and blood. Until I see it, I don't believe they're dropped off by UFOs. I don't believe they walk through portals. I think that their fur gives them an advantage, or their hair gives them an advantage of blending in very well. And you also have to understand that they do this 24/7. They're in the woods every single day, every single minute of their life. They are very well at becoming adapt in their surroundings. And I am a firm believer that they are able to read your body language, read your intentions. And if you get the chance to see one, very rarely is it happenstance that you get to see one by accident. I am a very firm believer that if you see one, it's because they want you to see them. They're allowing you to see them. It's a gift. That's the way I look at it.
I've heard that so many times, man. It's hard to argue that. It really, really is. All right, we got a couple questions left, and they are both from Miss Crystal Blevins, and she is our resident ghosty expert, so she has some interesting questions. Any near-death experiences for you?
You mean with like a Sasquatch or anything like that, or just
Like you, like almost dying?
Oh, plenty of times. But back in the day, I didn't think I was playing with death. I just did stupid stuff as a kid. I used to climb up pine trees as high as I could and kind of whip the tops back and forth, and then I'd launch myself over to another tree until my dad saw me, and then I hit about 35 branches all the way down and bruised my ribs and hurt my shoulder, and then he beat my ass all the way home.
Okay, and as kind of as a follow-up, she's asking, or trauma to break the veil. I guess she's kind of talking about you being more in tune with all the weird shit that you've experienced. Anything that's happened in your life that could possibly have opened these doors. Crystal, you froze him.
I just don't want to come across being mean, but I'm just going to have to respectfully decline to answer that question.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. If you don't feel comfortable talking about something, we do not want you to talk about it at all. So that is perfectly fine. We will move on. I do want to thank you, sir, for the $5 super sticker.
Thank you.
Guys, that was his fee to come on the show.
Oh, the one I said earlier, huh?
Yeah, we charge everybody $5 to come on, and Daniel just went ahead and paid. So thank you, sir.
Have I ever stopped breathing? I don't.
Real quick,
so.
Also, Goony Goo Goo, thank you for that.
I love that name.
Or that 99-cent super sticker. Thank you, sir.
I love that name, Goony Goo Goo. I know where that came from. Come on, Eddie.
I didn't know that. You had to explain that to me.
Gus, you know what your wife is? She's a motherfucking Bigfoot, Gus. She can't climb she can't climb some stairs. I bet you she can climb the shit out of some trees. I took your kids out, and you know what? Your kids, they're Bigfoots too, because I took them out fishing, and you know what? They didn't use any fishing poles. They just stuck their heads in the water, and they came up holding the fish. The other one took one out, and he goes, Goony Goo Goo. Gus, what the fuck is Goony Goo Goo?
There it is. I've heard Gary say that same thing. That is so awesome.
Goony Goo Goo. Cool. To answer Crystal Blevins, I don't ever recall stop breathing at any time. I know I got knocked out one time when I was playing baseball. I got hit in the head with the ball. Active war can do it. No. Don't ever be sorry for questions. It's just I have a lot of personal trauma that I had to seek professional help to deal with for a long time.
Yeah.
I try.
I mean, and these shows are fun and informative and everything. And I mean, if there's ever something you don't want to talk about, we respect that wholeheartedly.
Well, there was a couple. It was bad enough. I tried to take my own life a couple times, and yeah.
You don't need to go any deeper, dude. You can tell you're struggling with it. So yeah, you are fine.
But I'm here, man. I'm here.
Yes, you
You know
are.
what?
I'm
And you
here.
know what? You kick ass.
You are here, and you are kicking ass, doing your thing,
Yeah.
and just doing it very well.
Yeah. The last time I tried was years ago, and I can laugh at it now because I failed miserably at it. And I look at it now and I laugh my ass off because I'm a firm believer it was God stepping in, going, hey, you know what, man, you're an idiot. I was up 18 feet in the air and I tied one into a beam and I tied the other one around my neck, and I didn't realize that the rope that I was using was 30 feet long. And so when I let go, I hit the ground pretty hard and bruised my tailbone. And then I realized, what am I doing, man? This is stupid.
Yeah.
So
you have a purpose, and
yeah.
that is, wow, that was weird because as that was coming out, Crystal wrote it.
Yeah.
You have a purpose.
So, Miss Blevins, please do not, Miss Crystal, do not feel sorry for asking questions, because that's how things get out. That's how information gets out. That's how stories are told. Is just it was just a really, really rough part in my life, and I've only told a few people about what happened, and it's why I don't like certain kind of people. So
yeah.
And those kind of people that are in prison, they're at the bottom of the line. So I don't like people like that. So.
All right. Well, Daniel, this kind of goes along with Troy's last question. How can I contact you? Tell everybody where they can find you and how to get a hold of you and just anything that you want to promote.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. I don't ever come on a podcast to promote myself. I just like helping you guys create content. But I am the host of the Cryptid podcast. I'm seen on YouTube and heard on Spotify. There are big things coming down the pipe for myself and my podcast.
That would not be possible if you had succeeded. Just to interrupt you.
Oh, no, 100% right. I can be reached via email at thecryptidpodcast72@gmail.com. If anybody is seeing me for the first time, if you guys go over to my channel and check it out, if it's worthy of your subscription, I would love it. If not, hey, my stuff's not for everybody, but I enjoy doing it. I really do. I have a fun time. I'm making a lot of friends, making a lot of connections in this community, and I've heard a couple people say a few times that one story can change the whole narrative of this giant puzzle known as the cryptid world. And that one story could be the final piece that's going to bring everything to the forefront, to where you're going to have people that absolutely troll the heck out of us and constantly make fun of us who are not believers but knowers. There's nothing wrong with being a believer, but being a knower, I've been called crazy. I've been called a lot of other things, and I feel blessed to have the experiences I've had, not just with Sasquatch, but throughout my entire life. I like I said, I've lived a very, very hard life, harder than most people have had. And some people have asked, well, how come you've had so many encounters, both paranormal and cryptid? You're full of shit. I've lived on 2 continents. I've lived in probably 15 states, and I'm a Gen Xer. My parents, my playground was whatever neighborhood I was living in, whatever forest I was close to. If I had a bike, I was out there running around doing everything I should not have been doing and everything I should have been doing. Nowadays, you have kids that can't function without their phone in their hands. Get out there, people. Stop looking down. Stop being an ostrich and keeping your head buried in the sand. Get out. walk around your neighborhood, get intimate with what's around you. Stop looking down, look up and out. Get off your phone, for real. You're not going to encounter nothing. You guys can be all the naysayers you want. Get out and enjoy what's around you, and you might be surprised what you run into.
Awesome. I can't think of cooler closing words on this program. So I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
I really do. This has been great. It's been awesome. Yeah, we're 2 hours right now, exactly 2 hours in. I don't think we've ever done a 2-hour show.
Hey,
No.
And
I still got more time if you guys do.
we will have you back, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
open invitation.
Cool, man. I mean, I still got a couple other encounters that I can tell you
I
about.
mean,
Someone
you seen
wanted to
all
know. Someone wanted to know about that encounter in '92, and hey, I'll come back and tell you that one. That's the one that made me see what my brother was made of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll set it up. This
Yeah.
this was fun. This was awesome. Get you back on another Saturday night so we can go another couple hours.
Sure.
All right, buddy. You enjoy the rest of your evening. I thank you so very much for taking the time to come and hang out with us and to be as open as you were. I know a lot of this stuff wasn't easy to talk about, but you hung in there, and we appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for coming back on. I still remember when Miss Tiffany goes, well, do you want to come back? I go, yeah, what's available? And I picked the first date that was available. So
Yeah, we booked him on air.
yeah, it was awesome.
Well, we're gonna have that same conversation here shortly.
Awesome.
All right, thank you, bud. Enjoy your evening, and thank you again.
All right. And can I get my sign off?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
You guys remember one thing: a legend always starts with a sighting. You guys have a good night.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. All right. How good was that?
It was amazing. And he's
Yeah.
so easy to talk to, and it's just I could just talk to him forever.
Yeah. Really, really fun show, good show. And obviously we are going to have him back to keep the conversation going.
Absolutely.
Everyone out there, all of our audience members tonight, you guys were great except for one, and we took care of that.
Yep. back.
There's no room for any of that garbage in
Nope.
this topic, so it has been handled. So yeah, again, you got anything else, ma'am?
No, just I appreciate you always. Y'all ask the greatest questions. You're absolutely respectful. Just thank you. And we'll see you Tuesday. Should we say something about Tuesdays?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
So our times will be changing from our start
Yeah,
times.
do that.
Yeah. Our start times for Paranormal Odyssey are going to go from starting at 8 p.m. Eastern back to 7 p.m. Eastern. And I believe that could start next Tuesday. So this coming Tuesday, we can start it at 7 p.m. I do have another guest that I'm waiting to hear from. But yeah, so instead of 8, come see us at 7.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up earlier, but we were so excited to get Daniel out.
No.
But yeah, next week, starting next week, it's going to be 7 o'clock, and that just helps me out a lot more. Y'all know I'm a single dad, 3-year-old daughter, and babysitters are hard to come by. So 7 o'clock is easier for me than 8 o'clock. So that's what we're going to start doing.
Yep.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Awesome show. Thank you so much for everything that y'all do. We love you. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Peace.